All right, so you want to do the Team Endeavor Challenge, and you've decided that you've got that plan set for months away, that it's going to take place. One thing I want to talk about today is just a heading of how to train for it, is the starting pieces on that, just so we can get some chatter in terms of what the direction should be for it. And just based upon the introduction for it in terms of where I'm going to be and you know, how I'm going to direct information on it. The whole idea for it is for me to share and direct information in the right manner such that you can take those pieces and do the best you can in preparation and hope that we can just provide some guidance. So there's no one way or right way, but I just want to share experiences without actually doing the exact same thing, just that I have from coaching, and also going to be an athlete and participating myself. I want to give some perspective, and just on a train perspective, what's our first starting pieces that we want to do if we're going to decide to participate. So, under the heading of train, train means work, or work preparation relative to the task and what we want to do. And if we know that the task is going to be long and arduous, with a bunch of different pieces, then we want to think about, first things first is setting a timeline based upon where we are. So we want to say, if this is the timeline here that we're shooting for, and where are we right now, we have to consider, what is it? March, April, May, June, July, August. So 6 plus 6.5 months, right? 6.5 months for the starting point. We have to consider this continuum in terms of training and say, what kind of things do we need here in balance to get what we want to get out of it, and where am I starting from based upon that? Because that's how you determine what kind of direction you're going to go in for your training. We call it the aim. So what is the aim here? And what does it look like? Because for some people, the aim based upon how to do that could be survival. For some people, could be, you know, winning certain tasks. For some people, could be experience, you know, based upon what their experiences are and what it looks like. For a lot of people, because it's going to be a first-time experience, it may be more based upon just to gain an experience and to see exactly what it feels like. But we got to know what the ground is before we can set the aim. And then we have to devise a recipe and create some resources. So if we provide a recipe, i.e. through the training, fuel, and strategy, and the resources from someone like myself and other professionals that may be able to give you some insight as to how to improve it, it may give you a starting point in terms of where you are now and how to get to that point. So the first thing we have to figure out is, you know, timelines and what to do. The second thing is you have to draw out a template based upon your lifestyle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this would be a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have to say to yourself, and it's good to work in little cycles like this, what can I do realistically per week based upon what I have in front of me that's going to help me create some consistency in training for that starting template. So the first thing that I want you to do and start to practice, and you can give us feedback too and provide comments for it, is to write down your template. If you want to share it, that's fine. That's good, because I'll be able to look at it too. Second thing is, if you don't want to, is keep it to yourself, but write that template down and realistically put in pieces throughout the week in terms of what those training pieces are going to be relative to the tasks that we have here. Okay? So if we know that based upon what the tasks are going to be relative to the event, which will be explained more eloquently on the site, let's just say that there's going to be longer pieces of, you know, hours, plus load carry longer pieces, plus just mental capacity longer pieces, and true stamina. Plus there's also going to be some endurance pieces of shorter duration. So what I mean is that you got to do a certain piece of work for 20 to 30 minutes or a task and strategize around that for a shorter period of time. And then there's going to be an endurance piece based upon body weight and how to move your body. And then there's going to be, you know, a power and a strength component that's going to be included within the weekend. So if we know that, we can say things like, well, in order to ensure that we last for the entire weekend, we have to have an aerobic base, okay? Now, aerobic base can mean different things to different people. Aerobic base to me means that you have work done and accumulated work over a period of time for a long period of time. Don't just think that aerobic base means that you've been running 30 minutes a day for the past 6 years. Or that someone has more of an aerobic base just because they've been doing an endurance activity. Don't think like that. Because people who've been training, quote-unquote training, let's say for 90 minutes a day, 4 days a week, for the past 15 years, they've built a huge base, okay, and a huge aerobic base and volume of work. Now, knowing that for sustainability over 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to need that, we have to ensure that there's pieces of balancing pieces of aerobic work that's thrown into the training program. Now, for the best case scenario, there's many, as I said, many different versions of ways to think about that, but I'd start participating in multiple, varied mixtures of zone 1, means very easy aerobic activity. Okay, very easy aerobic activity. And because we know that on foot is going to be one of the major things we're going to have to play with, then I would suggest that hiking, walking, and running may be a composition of those Zone 1 activities, plus non-eccentric pieces, which would be airdyne, biking, versaclimber, swimming, elliptical, any of those pieces. Now, the thing around is that I said you have to figure out the lifestyle first, because if I said, well, you should be fitting in 3 to 7 hours of that per week, total accumulation, and then linear progression based upon where we are for that. But you say, well, I got 30 minutes a day. Well, you're going to have to say, if I got 30 minutes a day, what am I going to fit into those 30 minutes that are going to help me participate in an event that's going to take a full weekend? And obviously, you're going to participate in this, you have to spend some time on those pieces. So first and foremost, let's fit in the aerobic piece. And the aerobic piece can be simply done, especially in lifestyle fashion. I'll give you one example. It doesn't mean that it has to be done this way, but one example of an aerobic piece can be done in the AM setting. And it can be done in the AM setting on multiple days. Okay? So get up out of bed and do an aerobic piece. And start with something easy. Start with a really nice, easy accumulation of work for a period of time. And that can be done in multiple different ways. So this can be a hike setting. This can be an airdyne. That can be a row. This can be a swim, and that can be a run. Okay? And on this day, we're going to have a bike, hike, workout accumulation on that day. So it may take us 60 minutes for the first one, and we may build over a number of months to, 5 hours for this one. That's just the starting point idea. But and then throughout the other pieces, we can see that if we know based upon intensity, a hike, airdyne, row, swim, run is going to be of low intensity, then based upon where you're starting from, the strength and power pieces may be able to be fit in there. So we can look at something like this for a strength and power piece. Okay? So let's just say strength and power. Okay, maybe it's just strength, and maybe it's strength and power like that. And I'll devise, what workouts look like in, a little bit more detail over time, but the first piece of homework I want you to work with and starting point is developing a template as to where you're going to fit these things in. And number one, we're going to take care of the aerobic base and the aerobic pieces that you want to do. Okay? So for example, the hike is going to be 45 minutes. Okay? And it's going to be loaded with a 40-pound pack. The airdyne is going to be 30 minutes. Easy, zone 1. The row is going to be 5K, so it's going to be like 20 to 25 minutes. The swim is going to total 30 minutes of total work. And then the run is going to be 45 minutes. So we have 75, 100, 130, 175 minutes at the end of the week, which is basically close to 3 hours total of just the zone 1 activity, plus what we may do here. So we're going to do another 90 minutes there. So we're doing 4.5 hours per week. At the end of that week, you can put a little box here that says 4.5. You want to plan that. And you want to add per week on a linear progression for that zone 1 activity. Based upon lifestyle, because if you think about it, we're in 4 weeks and we've added pieces per week, we may end up doing like 90 minutes each day. So obviously for your lifestyle, if you're working or you can't fit that in, then you got to find time on the weekend in order to fit that total volume in. And how to do this for loading and deloading and figuring out, we can do that over time. We'll add that to the training piece. But first and foremost, start your template, recognize where you're starting from and where you need to go, and just recognize, what the aim is and how you're going to do it. and start the template, put it on paper, and figure out how are you fitting this into a schedule so that you can create consistency and it's not a chaotic environment. You can load your weekends and keep your week fairly easy. You could start working on your strength and power pieces because you have a big endurance piece. You can maintain your endurance and work on your strength and power. You could, if you have great strength and power, maybe you need to start getting out there and running in boots and start walking or hiking for 3 or 4 hours on the weekend. You got to find a way as to how that's going to fit into the cycle. What comes into the training and pieces around that, we'll get into that in more detail, but this is your homework to start with and an introduction to the first concept what we're going to do for training for the Endeavor Challenge.